As she stood in the lawyer's office, listening to the reading of her great-aunt's will, Sophia's eyes widened in shock. She had never met her great-aunt, but she had heard stories about her vast fortune and sprawling estate. But what shocked Sophia was the condition of the will. Her great-aunt had left her the entire estate, but on one condition: Sophia had to marry her cousin, Alexander. Sophia's eyes scanned the room, searching for Alexander. She had never met him before, but she had heard rumors about his arrogant and selfish nature. As she spotted him across the room, Sophia felt a surge of resentment. Who was he to dictate her life? And why had her great-aunt chosen him as her beneficiary? But as Sophia looked into Alexander's eyes, she saw something there that gave her pause. It was a glimmer of sadness, a hint of vulnerability. Over the next few weeks, Sophia and Alexander were forced to spend time together, making arrangements for the estate and getting to know each other. At first, Sophia was resistant to Alexander's charms. She saw him as arrogant and entitled, and she resented the fact that she was being forced to marry him. But as they spent more time together, Sophia started to see a different side of Alexander. She saw the way he cared for his family, the way he worked tirelessly to maintain the estate. And as she looked into his eyes, Sophia felt a spark of attraction. She couldn't believe it. Was she actually starting to fall for her cousin? As the days turned into weeks, Sophia and Alexander grew closer. They started to share stories, laughter, and secrets. And as they sat together on the porch, watching the sunset, Sophia realized that she had fallen deeply in love with Alexander. But as she turned to him, she saw a look of surprise on his face. "Sophia, I have something to tell you," he said, his voice hesitant. Sophia's heart skipped a beat. What was he going to say? "I've fallen in love with you too," Alexander said, his eyes locking onto hers. Sophia's heart soared. She had never expected to fall in love with her cousin, but now she couldn't imagine living without him. As they shared their first kiss, Sophia knew that she had found her soulmate in the most unexpected way. As Sophia and Alexander's relationship deepened, they knew they had to face the consequences of their love. They were cousins, and their families might not approve of their relationship. "We have to tell them," Sophia said, her voice laced with anxiety. "We can't keep this a secret forever." Alexander nodded, his eyes filled with determination. "I know. But I'm scared of how they'll react." Sophia took his hand, her touch calming his nerves. "We'll face it together," she said. "We'll make them understand that our love is real." But as they gathered their families to reveal the truth, Sophia and Alexander were met with shock, anger, and disappointment. "How could you?" Sophia's mother exclaimed, her voice trembling with rage. "You're cousins. It's forbidden." Alexander's father was equally furious. "You're betraying our family's values," he thundered. "You'll bring shame to our name." Sophia and Alexander stood firm, holding hands as they faced their family's opposition. "Our love is pure," Sophia said, her voice steady. "We won't let societal norms dictate our happiness." But as the argument escalated, Sophia and Alexander realized that their love might be stronger than they thought. Were they willing to risk everything for each other? As they stood together, united against the world, Sophia and Alexander shared a glance that spoke volumes. They knew that their love would conquer all, no matter the cost. Sophia's mother, still fuming from the revelation, issued an ultimatum. "If you continue this relationship, Sophia, you'll be disowned," she said, her voice cold and detached. Alexander's father echoed the sentiment. "You'll be cut off from the family fortune, Alexander. You'll be left with nothing." Sophia and Alexander looked at each other, their hearts heavy with the weight of their family's opposition. They knew that they had to make a choice. "We'll leave," Sophia said finally, her voice firm. "We'll start a new life, together." Alexander nodded, his eyes shining with determination. "We'll make our own way," he said. "We won't need their money or their approval." As they turned to walk away, Sophia's mother called out, her voice bitter. "You'll regret this, Sophia." You'll come crawling back when you realize you've made a mistake. Sophia didn't look back. She knew that she and Alexander were taking a risk, but she also knew that their love was worth fighting for. As they walked hand in hand, Sophia felt a sense of freedom that she had never felt before. They were starting a new life, a life built on their love for each other. But as they disappeared into the distance, Sophia's mother whispered a warning to Alexander's father. "This isn't over," she said. "We'll make sure they pay for their defiance." The two families, once united in their opposition to Sophia and Alexander's relationship, had now become bitter enemies, determined to destroy the young lovers' happiness. Sophia and Alexander had been living on their own for a few months, and they were starting to build a new life together. They had found a small apartment, and Alexander had started working as a freelance writer. One day, as they were exploring their new neighborhood, they stumbled upon a quirky little cafe. The sign above the door read Madame Luna's, and the windows were filled with a dazzling array of colorful decorations. Sophia's eyes widened as she pushed open the door. "This place looks amazing," she exclaimed. Inside, they found a cozy atmosphere, filled with the scent of freshly baked pastries and the sound of jazz music. Madame Luna herself greeted them, a warm smile on her face. As they sipped their coffee and nibbled on pastries, Sophia and Alexander noticed a strange old man sitting in the corner, eyeing them with interest. "Who's that?" Sophia whispered to Madame Luna. Madame Luna leaned in, a mischievous glint in her eye. "That's my old friend, Professor Orion," she said. "He's a bit of an eccentric, but he's harmless." Just then, Professor Orion stood up, his eyes twinkling with excitement. "Ah, Sophia and Alexander," he exclaimed. "I've been waiting for you." Sophia and Alexander exchanged a confused glance. "Waiting for us?" Sophia repeated. Professor Orion nodded, a sly smile spreading across his face. "Yes, my dear. You see, I have a bit of a surprise for you. A surprise that will change your lives forever." As Sophia and Alexander leaned in, curious, Professor Orion dropped a bombshell. "You, Sophia, are the long-lost heir to a vast fortune. And you, Alexander, are the key to unlocking it." Sophia's eyes widened in shock, while Alexander's jaw dropped in amazement. What did Professor Orion mean? And what lay in store for them next? Sophia and Alexander were reeling from Professor Orion's revelation. They had always known that Sophia's family was wealthy, but they had no idea that she was the long-lost heir to a vast fortune. As they left Madame Luna's cafe, they were filled with excitement and anticipation. They couldn't wait to learn more about Sophia's inheritance and what it meant for their future. But their excitement was short-lived. As they walked home, they were caught in a sudden downpour. The rain was heavy, and they were soaked to the bone by the time they reached their apartment. To make matters worse, they discovered that their apartment had been burglarized. The thief had made off with their laptops, phones, and other valuables. Sophia and Alexander were devastated. They had lost everything, and they were left with nothing but the clothes on their backs. But as they stood there, feeling sorry for themselves, Sophia suddenly remembered something. She had kept a small safe in the apartment, and it was still intact. Inside, she had stored important documents, including her birth certificate and other identification. With newfound hope, Sophia and Alexander went to the authorities and reported the burglary. They also began the process of claiming Sophia's inheritance. It wasn't easy, but they persevered. And finally, after weeks of waiting, they received the news they had been hoping for. Sophia's inheritance was hers, and it was more than they could have ever imagined. They were overjoyed. They had gone from having nothing to having everything they could ever want. As they celebrated, Sophia turned to Alexander and smiled. "We did it," she said. "We're finally happy." Alexander smiled back, his eyes shining with love. "We sure are," he said. "And we're in this together, forever." And as they hugged, Sophia knew that she had found her true soulmate in Alexander. They had been through ups and downs, but their love had only grown stronger. They lived happily ever after, surrounded by wealth, love, and happiness. Sophia and Alexander's lives were forever changed when they received the news about Sophia's inheritance. They were now wealthy beyond their wildest dreams, and they could finally live the life they had always wanted. They started by traveling the world, exploring new places and experiencing new cultures. They stayed in luxurious hotels, ate at fine restaurants, and lived life to the fullest. But as much as they loved their new life, they knew they couldn't just spend their days indulging in luxury. They wanted to make a difference, to use their wealth to help others. So, they started a foundation dedicated to helping those in need. They built schools, hospitals, and homes for the homeless. They provided scholarships, food, and clothing to those who needed it most. Sophia and Alexander worked tirelessly, using their wealth and influence to make the world a better place. And as they did, they felt a sense of purpose and fulfillment they had never known before. One day, as they were visiting one of the schools they had built, Sophia turned to Alexander with a smile. "You know, I never thought I'd say this, but I'm really glad we got burglarized," she said. Alexander raised an eyebrow. "Really? Why's that?" Sophia's smile grew wider. "Because if we hadn't, we might not have discovered my inheritance. And we might not have been able to do all the good we're doing now." Alexander nodded, his eyes shining with agreement. "You're right," he said. "Sometimes, the worst things that happen to us can lead to the best outcomes." Sophia's smile faltered for a moment, and she looked serious. "You know, I've been thinking," she said. "I want to start a new project, something that will really make a difference." Alexander's eyes lit up with interest. "What is it?" he asked. Sophia's smile returned, and she took Alexander's hand. "I want to build a community center," she said. "A place where people can come together, learn, and grow." Alexander's face lit up with excitement. "That's a wonderful idea," he said. "Let's do it." And with that, Sophia and Alexander embarked on their next adventure, ready to face new challenges and make an even bigger impact on the world. Years went by, and Sophia and Alexander's community center became a beacon of hope and learning for the entire town. They had built a state-of-the-art facility, complete with classrooms, a library, and a sports center. The community center was a place where people of all ages and backgrounds could come together, share ideas, and learn from each other. Sophia and Alexander had created a space that fostered growth, understanding, and compassion. As they stood on the stage, looking out at the crowd of people gathered for the community center's anniversary celebration, Sophia turned to Alexander with tears in her eyes. "We did it," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. "We created something truly special." Alexander smiled, his eyes shining with pride. "We sure did," he said. "And it's all because of our love and commitment to each other." Sophia's heart swelled with love and gratitude as she looked at Alexander. She knew that she had found her soulmate in him, and she was grateful for every moment they had shared together. As the crowd erupted into applause, Sophia and Alexander shared a kiss, basking in the joy and happiness that surrounded them. And as they walked off the stage, hand in hand, Sophia knew that their love would continue to flourish, a beacon of hope and inspiration to all those around them.